I think let's get the show on the road. It's 10 past the hour now, and people are some of the people who have been on since 7 o'clock. So let's start the webinar, shall we? So let me take off from here then, and officially open this webinar. People, if you don't know who I am, and if you didn't catch it early on, my name is Andrew Eaton, and very simply, I'm the master distributor for Skill Dragon in South Africa. Been with the company for 4.5 years. Been privileged to be with the company for 4.5 years. I won't go into my story right now, but it's been an amazing journey. Really, what I will tell you, what sold this company to me back 4.5 years ago was not so much the product, which was great, but really the vision of the man behind the business, who is David Martin. And I got into a webinar much like this one 4.5 years ago for one of our earlier products, and David came and spoke from the heart and spoke about his vision for the business. And that's what really sold me into this business. And 4.5 years later, I'd like to tell I'm privileged enough to say that I've gotten to know David very well. He is a exceptional man. He's a man with great integrity. He certainly is not in this business because he's chasing the buck. He doesn't need to make any more money. He just really wants to leave a legacy. And I think the best way for me to explain it is that in 2006, David never had to work again in his life. He'd made all his money developing banking security software. 2008, he realized that he wanted to leave a legacy, and the way he eventually worked out to do it, really simply put, people, is this. He said, right, if I can create, using my expertise, if I can create various platforms that will enable average people like Andrew Eaton in South Africa to leverage off those platforms, to enable them to participate on the biggest money-making trends on the internet, and if I can do so effectively, well, then I can help uplift the middle class globally, and the middle class in turn will be able to uplift the lower class, people who can't help themselves in terms of there being more money to help charities, etc. So that really is David's vision. What you're seeing tonight, or what we've done with Dragon Mine and our other products, which are other revenue sharing products and solutions which participate in other online, other big online trends. But what you're seeing tonight and how it works is really just one of David's visions that he is offering us to enable to, one of David's tools, which is offering us to help him accomplish his goal and his vision to make the world a better place by uplifting the middle class. So, in the last 4.5 years, I've been privileged enough to meet David on a number of occasions. Met him 3 of those occasions now in Vegas, where he's wined and dined us, and been nothing but a true gentleman, man of high integrity. Obviously, the other man on the call tonight is Ken Bruff. Ken was out in South Africa last year. It comes with a very, very, very impressive corporate background. Has been at executive levels within some of the world's top Fortune 500 companies. In fact, prior to launching and prior to coming on board as CEO of our company, of Skill Dragon, Ken was the vice president for one of Chet Holmes and Tony Robbins' companies, which speaks volumes for him as a person, because certainly they would not be employing anyone other than the best with the best integrity for their companies. And I've grown to know Ken very well over the last couple of years as well, and I think the company is very fortunate to have a man of his capabilities at the forefront. I think what we're launching right now is exceptional. But really, without further ado, what I really want to do is just hand over to David, who is going to blow you away with some of the functionalities of what we have. Explain, a lot of people are a bit confused about 1 or 2 things. And what I want to say before I hand over is this. Let's start off with one differentiator. Never, ever in their history, as far as I know, and certainly as far as Tony knows, but never before in their history of cloud-based Bitcoin mining has the founder of a cloud-based mine got onto a webinar with the miners, and he himself explained how to use the platform. That's never happened before. David, I know how incredibly busy you've been. I know literally people, you don't know that David and his IT team to put this together for us in such a short period of time, believe it or not, are probably getting through in the last 2 months with 2 or 3 hours sleep a night. David, I just want to thank you very much for taking the time to be on the webinar to show people that this is a real company with a real product and a real solution for the global economy right now. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for that incredibly kind introduction. These are incredibly exciting times. Ladies and gentlemen, there are times when we'll be showing a few things on the screen as well. But these are incredibly exciting times. As a company, our goal for the Dragon Mine specifically was to have the world's safest mine and also one of the world's most profitable Bitcoin mines. And I've got to say that as of today, we have actually succeeded in both of those goals. We've succeeded in both of them. Now that's incredible, and it's incredible for a lot of reasons. And one of the core reasons is because Dragon Mine is a baby. Okay, as a company, we're already a proven company with all of the incredible, innovative, real-time play esports games that we've created. We've created and innovated there in some ways that no other company in the world ever has. We're doing esports around the world in all these different ways. We've just started Dragon Mine, just started it, and already we've absolutely accomplished both of those goals. I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to ask that you not click on this a million times a day, but basically there's a reload button that is at the top right of your screen, and as you tap that, then the statistics do in fact update every 15 to 20 minutes is what we try to do, but we under-promised and over-delivered again, and it's actually showing updates every minute. It's quite amazing. The reason that we're not seeing on this particular account that I've just randomly gone into, the reward estimates, the reason that is all zero is for a very simple reason. This person under settings has gone ahead and put their repurchase amount at 100%, which is quite clever. So that means that this is buying them literally on a daily basis more hash rate. And what that means is that their mining is getting faster and faster and faster, so that they're accumulating more and more and more of the Bitcoin hashing power, which means that the Bitcoin is going to generate faster and faster for them. Okay? And because it's generating faster and faster for them, when they switch it at some point in the future back to whatever percentage they want, it could be 70%, 50%, 35%, whatever, then what's going to happen, and it goes in a range of 35% to 100%, what's going to happen is that they're going to be making money faster than everyone else. So they're doing something very smart here. Now, I'd also like to point out, if you haven't seen it yet, we have some gorgeous new graphics. You can see that this person has a gold, the founder status is gold, which means that they have 4 shares. This was for a product purchase of $10,000. I'd like to quickly say that there are no investments whatsoever in our system. What people are doing is they're buying a product, which is the actual mining equipment and the hash rate. And as we say in our FAQ, people can request that. But it's just from a legal standpoint, it's an important differentiating factor. This is what you're actually doing is you're buying a product, which is the hash rate. And what you are getting from the hash rate is a lot of Bitcoin coming to you very rapidly, depending on where the Bitcoin market is. I would also like to mention that as of today, the founders packages are no longer available. Now, I want to be clear that all of the same price points are still available, but members will not be getting shares in the global pool. Talking about the global pool, that is something that we expect to be releasing tomorrow. Right now, because there were people who were getting their shares in at the very last moment, the programmers are compiling all the information on those extra shares and then putting that into the global pool there so that we will have that. Now, I'm going to go through a few more parts of this, but I'd like to say that I want to make this whole webinar very interactive. And in order to make it more interactive, what I'm going to be doing is going back to Andrew and Ken at different points. So we're just at the very start, the very beginning of a very great adventure, and things are going to get better and better and better. Now, I'd like to point out the extra bonus gigahash that you might notice here. And the extra bonus gigahash is, you'll see that at the account summary, which is at the top left of the screen. So if you can see where my mouse is hovering, and it says extra bonus gigahash. Now, there's an FAQ that explains everything down here. And if you click on the link, then you see this screen. And please read all of the questions very, very carefully. Because it does explain things well. The extra bonus gigahash on this particular account is an astonishing 3,000. What we have done is that the company spent a lot of its own money to start mining about 3.5 weeks before the 1st of March. As we were doing that, and we're partnered up with the biggest and most prestigious mining firm in the world, where basically you need pretty much a $500,000 purchase to get anywhere with them, and they've never been available to the public before. And that's what we're doing, except we're passing on all of the profits and all of the rates and savings directly to you, because we don't need to make money on this. In fact, the truth is that the company is losing a very, very, very small amount of money right now, and we're doing that on purpose. That's not something to be alarmed about. We're completely aware of what we're doing, and we didn't need to do that. We chose to do that. And the reason is because we're not just a mine. We are the first company in the world that is proven to be doing a lot of innovative things, including the esports games and learning products and others. And what we're doing is we're taking a certain portion of profits from that and putting it into the mine to make people really, really happy, and to underpromise and overdeliver, and to keep doing things that no other company in the world has done. For example, the extra bonus gigahash. Now, the extra bonus gigahash is distributed in different amounts depending on what the product purchase amount was. So the higher the product purchase amount was, the higher the extra bonus gigahash was. This is again something that we did not promise people would be there, but we are delivering it to them to put a big smile on people's faces. That part is covered in the FAQ, which is down there on that special link. At this point, I'd actually like to go back to Andrew and Ken. I'll start with Andrew, but there are some, I know that there's some interesting questions that are coming in. I haven't had a chance to actually look at any of them yet as I've been speaking with you. But Andrew, let me just go to you to actually talk about anything. Is there anything that I've said so far that you'd like me to highlight, or any particular thing on this dashboard that you'd like me to speak more about, or is there a particular question that you might have seen that you'd like me to answer?
There's actually one from Susie here, David, and I see that someone has already answered here, but I think for everyone, will the earnings summary and estimates ever have the option to show dollar earnings as opposed to just gigahash?
That's an interesting question. No, because, well, that's not a planned feature. Certainly we could. That's an interesting question, because we've never gotten that question before. It wouldn't be gigahash being converted into dollars. It would be Bitcoin being converted into dollars. And that could be done at some point where we could show different currencies. So instead of just Bitcoin, it could show Bitcoin and then price to Ethereum, price to US dollars, price to euros, price to South African rand, Malaysian ringgit, and so on and so forth. So yes, we can get up to the minute. Our programmers can get up to the minute financial information on where the currencies are and put it on our system if that was a strongly desired feature. I don't know if it really is, but we could certainly do that for the future. Yes.
I actually answered that with a yes, because in my mind, and you walked through the same reasoning I did, I just had a little longer to do it. As people start earning more, as this, as it grows and matures, then I can see it starting to become a priority. And as it becomes a priority, as you said, obviously it's something we can do.
Absolutely. That's a great answer, Ken. Thank you so much for that. So the answer is yes. Yeah, so I guess that's, I'd never gotten the question before, so I had to think through that right there in real time. But no, Ken answered it, of course, perfectly, and it just makes sense. The other thing I'd like to mention is that I've mentioned that we're unquestionably the safest mine in the world. We're also one of the most generous. Now, I think that Tony will speak to that a bit more at some point today. If you look at other key mines out there like Genesis Mining, and you look at the hash rate per dollar and what you're actually receiving there, you can see that for their, I believe it's their $2,000+ plan, it might be $2,400. I'll pull it up here in a moment. We're actually definitely giving more hash rate and dollar for hash rate value for our $500 plan than they are for their more than $2,000 plan. And by the way, I want to be very clear that I'm not I only have positive things to say about Genesis Mining. I think that they're a good company. So nothing that I say is in the slightest way negative, only positive. But please understand that fair is fair. It's fair for any business to compare their products for the customer in an ethical way and compare apples to apples. And that's exactly what we're doing. And in a lot of ways, both obvious and also some hidden ways, we're being a lot more generous than the other real mines out there. There's also things as far as there are also ways that a lot of mines can put in hidden ways of taking money, small percentages here, small percentages there, which add up to actually a lot less for you overall. And we don't play any of those games, besides us having probably the most sophisticated, even though Dragon Mine is like a newborn baby, we have one of the most sophisticated back office systems already, again, thanks to our amazing programming team, and it's only getting better and better. But I will say that as we are not playing any of those kinds of games with hidden charges, because we don't need to. Why don't we need to? Well, because the mining, as I keep coming back to this, the mining is not our only business. I want everyone to truly understand that the value that we're giving as far as the amount of Bitcoin that people are receiving for the price of product is more generous than any other real mine out there that we are aware of. So that's incredibly powerful. Back to you, Andrew and Ken.
Great, David. Would you like me to pick out a couple of more questions?
Yes, go ahead with that, please.
Okay, so Frederick asks, why are the repurchase options from 35 to 100 and not from 0 to 100?
Well, the FAQ actually does explain that, and this is one of the things that I'm extremely happy to answer any questions, but I would really like people to please read that, the frequently asked questions that are there. Let me just answer that by reading what it actually says. So it says, why is there a repurchase amount and how is it used? And it says, the repurchase amount is one of the most critically important parts of the Dragon mine. Without it, your earnings would continue to go down over time because of the way that Bitcoin mining works. Difficulty increases as more Bitcoin miners come online around the world. By the way, this brings up a very important point, which I'll get to in a moment. The concept of mining difficulty within the Bitcoin network is complex, and we'll be creating a training guide with graphs and charts for those who are interested in all the nerdy details. Remember that with the repurchase amount, you're literally purchasing more hash rate for yourself. A hash rate purchase amount of 35% is enough to keep the amount of Bitcoin generated for you every week about the same as time goes on. Higher amounts will continue to increase your mining speed. So as time goes on, you are winning the Bitcoin mining game by earning more and more. As a company, we pass all the profits that we're getting from mining on to our members. This happens in two different ways. First, the purchase amount, 100% is going directly to the mine. We don't take a percentage. We don't take even 0.5% for ourselves, for the company of anyone else. So this is very important. I think that's the only way that a real mine can operate. Any mine that doesn't do that, I don't think that's ethical at all, and I don't think they'd have any chance of standing the test of time. And secondly, when the money comes back to you, we're actually doing things to give you more, like the extra bonus gigahash. As I said before, there are all these different ways that other mines, even very real, very legitimate mines and good companies, are taking all these extra fees, which they need to do to make a profit, because that's why they're in business as companies, and we are not, because to us it's about the long-term value of the customer and presenting them that customer with some other great products and offers as we go along as a company, which the customer can then choose to either purchase or not purchase, and either way is fine. But what we want to do is have not only extremely happy customers, but actually raving fans. And so we're spending more to do that. But going back to that repurchase amount, we want to be seen in the shortest amount of time as a company as the premier real-world Bitcoin mine. We know that we already are, but we want to be seen that way very publicly. We have a very big vision, and that means that we must be mining massive, massive amounts of Bitcoin, and the repurchase amount keeps the members safe, and it allows us to have, through the repurchase of the gigahash, to also get to that stage faster as well. And then as the company gets to that stage and is doing better and better, again, all of those benefits are passed on to our members. So that means that we can continue to give more and more to our members as time goes on. Okay, excellent. At this point, there's a question that I've seen on my side, which I'd like to take. And it says, if it takes a certain amount of time to break even, or this is the way the question is phrased. If it takes a certain amount of time to break even on the $2,500 product purchase package, how much more time would it take for that on the $5,000 or $10,000 package? They're talking about getting all the Bitcoin back that they've spent in mining and more. My answer to that is the larger the package, the less time that it takes, because the hash rate is higher. And so because the hash rate is higher and the value is, well, even the value on the $500 package is phenomenal, but the value on the $10,000 package gets down to almost 20 cents a gigahash. And I'll pull up some numbers and a little bit of additional information there in a moment. But anyway, so it would actually happen faster, not slower. Additionally, the 35% repurchase, product repurchase rate, hash rate repurchase rate, would purchase more gigahertz faster since the starting amount was higher, which would again cause the so-called break-even point to occur faster for the larger package sizes. So the factors to consider are: what is the number of Bitcoins returned per month? And number two, what is the value of Bitcoin? Now, there's some interesting things happening in the Bitcoin mining world, and I'm going to give everyone a secret that I'm not supposed to give. But more than 50% of the Bitcoin mining around the world is currently happening in China. And here's the secret. The secret is that a lot of these mine owners are actually being arrested because China does not like the freedom of Bitcoin, basically, is what it comes down to. And what that also, so there are some mines that could be good, reputable mines in China that could be collapsing or just stopped. And it's not because they're run by bad people, it's because they might have gotten into a lot of trouble with that the communist country that they're in. In addition to that, now the ones that are not getting arrested are the ones that are paying bribes, literally, to certain key people there in places of authority. How ironic, yeah? So things are not all as sunny in China, in the Bitcoin mining world, and there's some reasons that this information is incredibly important. By the way, none of our mines are in our mines are basically in the safest place possible, run by the best people who have proven themselves since 2011 and are golden in the industry, and we have a very special arrangement there as well. You're actually, right now, you're getting better rates and better value at some of these package prices than some of their customers who have put in a large amount of money to start with, and anyone who puts in a smaller amount of money, well, they can't. It's not available or open to the public. And of course, the entire back end and the global pool and all of this and the extra gigahash, all of these options are only available to our members. So anyone who had $500,000 or a few $1 million to go to them directly wouldn't have even gotten those extra bonuses. And their back office system is vastly more plain vanilla than ours, and that's for and not saying anything bad about it at all, quite the opposite. But in any case, it just doesn't have some of the features here, and that's for people who have spent $500,000 or more. So pretty interesting. But when it comes to the safety and security of what we have, as I say, more than 50% of the mining is in China. They're having some huge problems. Iceland is one of the other major places. The reality in Iceland, the dirty secret there, is that their energy costings are much higher than they'd like to reveal oftentimes, and it's just more expensive there. So what's happening with Bitcoin right now, it's interesting as it is sort of hovering around 400, and it is my personal belief, this is just a personal belief, although it's shared by many experts in the industry, that Bitcoin will go to around $2,500 in value over the next 24 to 36 months, which is just astonishing. But understand that if Bitcoin stays the same in price, we win. If Bitcoin goes up in price, we win. And if Bitcoin goes down in price, it's the ultimate catastrophe for a lot of mines. A lot of mines in Iceland would need to shut down. That even if they're really legitimate mines with good companies, they just need to shut down because they can't afford the energy costings. They would be more than they'd be getting back, so they'd have to turn the miners off during that time. And problems in China and problems many other places. While we, on the other hand, would be doing well. So I'm incredibly, we would be winning massively, actually. Because our energy costings just happen to be less, and a number of other very key factors. So we win no matter what happens. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. A lot of people want the Bitcoin price to go up, but if it goes down, then my answer to that is, yay, buy more Bitcoin, or rather, buy more mining, because I know, and a lot of other people know, the power and potential of this. And basically what happens if price goes down is that here's what literally happens. While other mines shut down, we are able to start returning more and more coin than ever before. Because you see, the amount of coin that's able to be returned has to do with the hash rate worldwide. And as other mines shut down, that means less worldwide hash rate. So every single gigahash that we're putting in on our mine counts for that much more return on the coins. And so people would be getting more and more and more, which is very exciting. And we've already seen a little bit of a tiny dip in the hash rate, meaning that there are more and more people in different parts of the world that are just turning off their Bitcoin mining because they can't do it successfully, while we're doing brilliantly, and we have quite a large margin to go. So that answers quite a few questions. I'd like to go back to Ken, Andrew, Tony, whoever would like to speak. I know that also there's a number of people who are doing an amazing job on our side on answering questions that people have. So there are all sorts of questions that I haven't even had a chance to glance at yet, and yet they've already been answered quite a bit ago on this webinar by typing them in. So back to Andrew, Ken, or Tony. And Andrew and Tony, I think you're both muted, so we can't actually hear you right at the moment. You have to unmute.
Okay, David, thank you. I'm here. I don't know if Andrew, are you still on the line? Okay, well,
Andrew's. Go on, please.
Okay, so if you don't mind, if I can just give a bit of pointers that I wrote down. What I've done is I've just compared some of the stuff that I've put pen to paper and my thoughts. So, David, before I share that with the community and yourself, from my side, I just want to say a huge thank you for what you've done since we've met the first time in the beginning of December last year. And I just want to compliment you on your work ethic. I just want to compliment you on the visionary person that you are. But more than that, I just want to compliment you on what you've put in place for us as a community. I think that what I've seen, I've heard, and I've spoken to some of the key guys. I've just attended an African conference of Bitcoin and the blockchain last week in Sandton. And with the information that I've got there, what we've achieved here and what you've put in place here with Dragon Mine in this record time is unheard of in the industry. And as a community of Bitcoin mining and as a community of people that are wanting to make a success out of their online presence, I just want to say thank you, a huge thank you, and a lot of gratitude that goes out from our side to you, and especially Ken behind the scene. So, David, just please accept the hugest hug that I can send you over the internet all the way to America. So a few things that I wrote down that I really want to share with you yourself and the participants who are listening to this hangout is that if you compare what we've achieved with Dragon Mine and you compare that with the top other real Bitcoin minings currently in the industry, I can really say, David, that you have put together a gigahash rate there for us, which is the most profitable and currently the best value price in the industry. So there is no other mining platform that is a real mining platform that I'm aware of that has beaten or that's got a better price than what you guys put in Dragon Mine. So thank you for that. Secondly, the thing that is very unique, and very few people will understand this, only if you are long in the industry of network marketing or if you are in Bitcoin mining already for 2-3 years, you will understand the power of the statement. Secondly, the funds that are going into, and thanks for pulling up that screen because that goes exactly with what I'm going to be talking now. 100%, go back to that screen with the prices, David, or whoever's controlling the slides. So if you can go back to the pricing of, thank you. So currently, I want you guys to understand what I'm saying because I'm speaking to you now that's listening to this webinar. 100% of the funds that you are putting in onto a package is going straight into hardware and straight into mining. There is no referral commission or any kickback or any percentage that goes to the company or to any of the personal referrals. So that is the first time ever in this industry that there is no commission paid back on our funds that goes into the mining. So David, I just want to compliment you on that decision that you were prepared to take. Thirdly, what we have got here, guys, is the only platform in the world that I'm aware of that you are able to know who the people are behind the programming side, behind the physical mine side. And those of you that are founders and that you've signed a non-disclosure document, the NDA, you will have the privilege, obviously, to fly with us and actually be in the physical mine and actually meet the operators that are running that mine on a daily basis and making sure that that mining farm stays in and still outbeats that what goes currently on in the world and that. So we are, number 4, we are currently working with the top experts in the industry with what we've got here on Dragon Mine. And that is a very important statement because some of you, like myself, we've lost a lot of money with platforms that just disappear overnight and that. And that's one of the first things that I want to bring your attention on, is that we are working here with people that's got integrity, people that understands what we are trying to achieve in this industry. And guys, what we are trying to achieve in this industry is to make a difference in everybody's cash flow. Doesn't matter where you are, where you come from. Doesn't matter if you come from a rich or a poor family. Doesn't matter if you come from a less understanding or a more understanding. But between the leaders that we've got around the table that has worked their backside off over this past few months to make the impossible possible in delivering a platform that looks after their community, we couldn't have asked for better people around the table that is looking after the interests of every single one of us in the group. So that was a 4th point. 5th point is that, and David has said it quite a few times, and I'm not sure if you guys have heard it and if it might have gone over your head, and I want to recommend that you listen to this recording at least 3 or 4 or 5 times so that you can really get the nuggets that we are sharing with you. But what Dragon Mine has put in place, David has put in place, is a mining platform that's the most rewarding currently in the industry, and that's from a real point of view, guys. We are not hyping up stuff here. We are not trying to be a salesman out here. We are just trying to make you understand that this platform's mining capacity is growing and growing very fast, and we are obviously piggybacking with the experts in the industry that's been going since 2011. But what David has put in place for us is that majority of the, and the most, I like to use the word rewarding, the most rewarding mining output that goes back to you as an individual. Remember that if the only way for you to get this kind of rewards, you had to put $500,000 on the table to get the results that we are getting here. And basically, you can start here not with $500,000, but you can start here with as little as $500, and you can get the same privileges as the person, the multimillionaire that has put in $500 million on the table to start getting the results. So that guys, has leveled the playing field for every single one of us to be in the industry and to be mining in that. And there is no other platform that delivers that. The sixth point I want to bring you onto this, and then I'm going to go to another topic, is that this payout that we are getting from a newly generated Bitcoin happens on a daily basis. Now, it's up to you, and I want you to understand this very carefully. It's up to you what you do with your daily rewards or daily new Bitcoins that you have achieved or received in this case. Now, obviously, David's already explained the 35% that goes into repurchasing more, but the balance of that Bitcoin, it's up to you. You can withdraw all that, or you can up your contribution to more gigahash. Myself, and because I know what we've got here, I've changed my setting obviously to exactly what the previous screen was showing you. I've set my setting to 100% compounding for the next few months. I haven't decided for how long I'm going to do that, but until then, until I've changed my strategy, 100% of my Bitcoins goes back into purchasing more gigahash. And the reason I'm doing that, guys, is because we are sitting here with a mining platform, and I like to use the word a safe risk, because although David is one of the top guys in the industry from a programming side and a security side, not David, not Ken, Andrew, or myself can control Bitcoins itself. We can't control the price of Bitcoins that goes up or down. We've got no input on that. So there is always a risk in Bitcoin mining because, you know, we're such a small players. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people that are mining, and very few of them obviously are the stage where we are. But we cannot control the price of Bitcoin. But what we can control is the physical mining platform that we are using, and the JV partnerships that we've got in place with all the key relevant. Now, because of that, you know, I like to use the word that we are at a safe risk on this platform. And because of that safe risk, I'm prepared to put my money where my mouth is. I'm prepared to put my newly Bitcoins back into compounding, because those of you who have done the sums, you will understand that if you compound, which is the eighth wonder of the world, if you compound and you can do your calculations, at any given time, you will outbeat any system out there. So that is the point that I wanted to make on those Bitcoin start from, and that is just if you are a miner, you know. So you can come into this team and not refer anybody. You don't have to refer one single person to this platform or this company. And guess what you are going to be making on a daily basis? Correct. You are going to make and receive newly Bitcoins. So you're going to have results from day one when you start mining. Now, that's got nothing to do with team building. And that is why we are so unique. That is why Skill Dragon and with my knowledge is going to be the fastest growing company in the world, the safest company to do business with, and we are going to get the best rewards that we can get in the industry. So I'm predicting that this company is going to go through the roof once people start understanding what we've got here. Now, if you are a networker, and I've written 2 points down here that is very, very important. If you are a networker and you want to build a team with us, because that's what we do, that's what Andrew and myself do. We believe that if it's good for me, it's good for you. So I will only share stuff with you if it's working for me. If it's not working for me or I'm not happy with it, then I will not be sharing it with you. So I've got that philosophy that if it's good enough for me, then it's good enough for you. So if you're one of those people that shares the same vision and has got the same attitude as Andrew Eaton and myself, and you are a team builder, then I want you to understand this next 2 points that I'm going to be sharing with you. What David has put here in place is a binary system that pays you into infinitely deep. So there can be 10,000 people, 100,000 people down below you. And every time when they do a compounding or they do a repurchase, only on a repurchase side, when they do a repurchases and a compounding back into gigahash, there's going to be volumes coming through your tree. And those volumes, if you build a team and you've got 2 legs and you've qualified as a team builder, you will make binary commissions that gets paid out to you on a daily basis. Now, I know that most people on the call are not networkers, and you are here just for mining, and that is great. That is fantastic. But for the few of you that are here and that you know that you want to build a team, I want you to understand that this payout plan that you will see that will pay out in your back office from a binary point of view will be one of the most lucrative payouts that you've ever experienced in this industry. Now, guys, I can say that because I've been 8 years now in network marketing, and I've seen some companies that I work hard for, and I get peanuts. And then you get to understand the power that we've put in place here for you as a networker. Secondly, and this is very, very important, is that you and we and David and Ken has actually partnered up together. Yes, even if you are listening to this, and if you are on the platform, if you already got a Dragon Mine and you've already paid your membership package, then you are in partnership with every single one of us. And I want you to understand this statement, which is point number 2, is that we are sitting with a group of leaders in this industry. And I'm talking specifically about Ken, and I'm talking specifically about David and Andrew. We are sitting here with leaders in the industry that their core focus is to make sure that the people on the platform that are partnered with them are the most lucrative and the best position in the industry. Now, you guys have experienced what has happened the past few months and how quick David has put this platform together with us and how quick David and the rest of the team has put the key partners together. Now, if we need to change anything, if we need to improve anything, if we need to make sure that that we can better the results, guess how quickly that will happen? It will happen as soon as we just ask David his permission, and as soon as he believes that he's able to do it, he will do it. Now, guys, there is no other company out there that will listen to its community like what David and Ken and the rest of us are doing. So yes, we cannot expect David to create miracles in one day, but if this is what he's achieved in this past few months, and especially this past few weeks to deliver that we can actually go live and that we went live the 1st of March, I want you to understand that we are in partnership, not for this is why, I had a great discussion of about 45-minute phone call today with Andrew, and we were just speaking about what is achieved and what we've achieved this past few months. But Andrew and myself, we came to the conclusion, and I'm going to share that conclusion with every single one of you that's listening to this hangout. We are not in for the quick buck. We're not in here so that we just build up a team and next month or next year or 2 years from now, we move over to another company or another business and that. We are team builders, and we fight and we work towards walking a journey with every single one of you for years to come, guys. This is a long-term game plan that we've got in place here. This is not a thing that we're doing for the 6 months or because this is the flavor of the month. We are working and putting a team together. That team is going to walk the path for many, many years together because we walk with respect to each other, we walk with integrity with each other, and we work towards what's the best for the community. So you guys, if you guys listen very carefully what David has shared with you, they've taken some decisions here to make the team results better to the consequences of themselves in the short term. So, guys, these are people that wants to make sure that we as a team win, and we as a team go the long journey with each other. And those 2 points from a network marketing side or a team building side, those 2 points speaks volumes about what we've achieved here. So, David, once again, Ken, from my side, from every person in the team all over the world that's already joined our Dragon Mind, I just want to tell you guys, we are super, super grateful for everything that you guys have put in place for us, and the time and effort and the intellectual property that you guys have put in place for us as normal people to start getting massive, massive results in this industry. So, David, Ken, over to you guys. Thank you.
Tony, can I just say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for the massive amount of value that you've just given everyone on this webinar. That's astonishing. You've given so much, so succinctly. I just hope everyone realizes how much value Tony is giving to everyone on this webinar and off this webinar. If it wasn't for Tony, we wouldn't be here right now. Tony is doing astonishing things. I'll give you an example. One of the biggest Bitcoin conferences in the world, South Africa actually hosted, and it happened very recently in the last week, and Tony was there. He not only was speaking to the CEOs of all of the biggest companies that have anything to do with anything inside of the Bitcoin and altcoin market space, certainly not just mines, but way beyond that. He took the time also to speak with members of the South African government, and he's put himself on the list of people who to contact as someone who is helping to advise them on policies and whatnot. Tony is an amazing man, and it is his vision to make sure that everyone is earning and that everyone can prosper, and that we are providing the true solution to the 2 biggest problems that people are having right now, which quite honestly, in South Africa, people are receiving a massive pay cut. Every single South African is receiving a massive pay cut from the economy. It doesn't matter if they have a boss or they don't have a boss, or they've worked their way to so-called financial freedom after 40 years of really hard work. Maybe they've been a real estate investor. Maybe they've clawed their way up from poverty. And yet, all of them are receiving a massive pay cut from the economy, and they have been for years now, but there's sort of been a quickening where things have gotten worse and worse. And what we're doing is we're helping people to stop the bleeding, the financial bleeding. People, crime increases greatly when there's financial desperation. Marriages end at times when there's financial desperation. A lot of them do. We're stopping the bleeding. We're helping people to keep their money safe in these different ways, and also to help their money, to help through the Bitcoin, to have it multiply in the safest and most lucrative way that has ever been created. It's astonishing to think that the private mine that we're working with, which is very private, not public, never been open to the public. I don't believe they never will be. The point is that we're actually giving more value to the people who are putting in, who have made a product purchase for the hash rate of $500 than the people who have spent $500,000 directly with this private mine, in the sense that not only are we giving back 100% of the money that we're able to get on the rates that we're able to get, because we've spent so much more money than even most of the people who have come in with the sorts of amounts that I'm talking about. But additionally, we have the global pool, we have extra bonus gigahash, because we're spending our money as a company to give additional rewards to our members. And that's additional to all the safety and security. Why? Because we want raving fans and we want to grow incredibly quickly. And I've got to say, so far, the results are very, very good indeed. But I want to come back to Tony's leadership. And Tony has been incredibly concerned about people's safety when it comes to mining. And he's come to me and said, we've got to do something so that people can have a truly safe mining experience, the safest that's ever existed in the world, that they can rely on for not only today or tomorrow or this week or this month or this year or next year, but for the future, where they can, truly be at ease about it and feel proud of it, and have a company that's not trying to take percentages here and there, so that it can pass everything on to the people because of the other parts of what it's doing. And by the way, what else we're doing, we are going to be, most people don't know this yet, this is a secret, but we are coming out with some major things within the Bitcoin industry that have nothing to do with mining, but are going to bring huge amounts of people to the mine. And also, these are things that have never been done in the Bitcoin industry before, ever. Innovative technologies that we believe that only we can produce, that we guarantee that no other company has produced, and we're releasing this into the Bitcoin industry. And the results, as I've spoken to the biggest people in Bitcoin, and I'm talking about not only the biggest, I'm not just talking about mining, I'm talking about in general, in all the different facets of Bitcoin. They are astonished, and some of them have been almost literally leaping up and down. The excitement in their voices was incredible when I was revealing to them a few of the things that we're coming out with. And don't worry that I did reveal some of these things, because the fact is that no other company can do what we're able to do, because of the team of 51 programmers and designers, from database to back end to front end design to all the rest, all the different components. It's the team that makes me look good. I don't deserve the credit for all the amazing things that are happening. The programmers, the team that I have the privilege to work with does, but I want to once again say thank you for Tony, because without him, the world's safest mine probably wouldn't have happened, and certainly wouldn't have happened in the time frame that it has. So in the same way that Tony is thanking me, I absolutely need to thank him, and so do all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. One question that I got from, and I think we can start closing off, because I don't think Andrew is still on. I think he might have lost his connection. But there's one question that's been coming up quite often, and I don't know if you can answer this, but the question is that currently, if we want to register new people, there's only certain countries that we can open accounts. When do you foresee some of the rest of the countries, and we're talking about North America and any other country, when can we expect to start opening those countries onto DragonMine? If you can answer that, David.
That's a great question. You know, it's very easy for a company, for anyone, anywhere around the world when using the internet, to be instantaneously open in all countries. In fact, it's much harder not to be. If you have a web page, the moment you put a web page up on the internet, it's open to all countries. We have a very different philosophy. We know that there are lots of logistical things to look at in order to give the very best experience, not to just some people and not to just some regions, but to all of the regions that we're open in. Because as a company, it's very important that we're having happy people and even hopefully raving fans in all of those locations. So we are very careful about when we're opening new locations. Having said that, we're looking at each location, including the political situation there, and politically, especially in regards to Bitcoin, there's certain places that are Bitcoin neutral, some that are Bitcoin negative, and some that are highly Bitcoin positive. In fact, I recently heard of one country that is switching and starting to base their economy to a great degree off of Bitcoin itself, and actually their local put their local fiat currency, essentially base it off of Bitcoin. So that was interesting. I'll have to look to see if they've actually completed that process or not, but very interesting. So the world is changing. This is the biggest thing, unquestionably, from a technology standpoint, and more importantly, from a social standpoint and the social impact that this will and is starting to have around the world. Bitcoin is the most important thing since the internet, and it is where the internet is. In fact, Bitcoin itself, it's not just DragonMine that's a baby, which means that all the greatest potential is still coming. And the sooner that someone has made a product purchase and started to mine, the more they're likely to receive the benefits of all that we're coming out with, which is astonishing. But DragonMine is a baby. Bitcoin itself is a baby. Make no mistake. It's where the internet was in 1995. And this is, of course, at that time, it was way before YouTube, way before Google, way before Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and WhatsApp and Skype and all these different ones. It was known as the World Wide Wait at that time, and there were still a lot of people who were highly skeptical about it and saying, I think it's just this thing for geeks, and I'm not really sure this internet thing is going to go anywhere, and it might just all collapse. I mean, by the year 2000, maybe the internet is going to be nothing more than a failed mistake. Yeah, right. Internet is the world's greatest communication system ever created, and Bitcoin is the world's greatest solution to currency that has ever been created during the time of the human race. And I could do a full 2-hour webinar on just that subject, and I think I might. I will say that unfortunately the States is a bit slightly Bitcoin negative right now, so that's why we have not opened there quite yet. And we're watching that closely right now. There's the 2016 elections that are coming up, and sometimes the economy is pumped up before the elections, and then we'll see what happens after the elections, and we'll see what happens in regards to Bitcoin, if it's neutral or negative or positive or what. So we're watching that closely. But again, it's all the different factors that we look at all come to one primary point. Can we make people really happy? Can we make it stand the test of time in that region, so we're not doing something like opening it up for a region and then closing it at some later point for that particular region? That's not something that we ever want to have happen. So we're cautious in opening, but once we're open, we just want to make sure that everyone is are not only long-term customers but raving fans. I'm also going to say that quick smaller announcement, there's a special FAQ system, frequently asked questions system, that we've installed. It handles more than 40 languages has support for more than 40 languages from around the world, has advanced searching and indexing features. What else? There are just so many things that this has. It automatically tracks when what the most popular questions are and moves them to a most popular questions section of the FAQ system, so that people can see what the top questions are and immediately get answers to those. So our support team, certain members of our support staff have been working behind the scenes with this system to put all these questions in and the answers, and that's going to be released there shortly as well. Perhaps either late part of this week or early part of next week. I'd like to emphasize again that yes, please go on. Andrew, you were saying something?
I think that's a very good, important point. Can you hear me now, David?
I can clearly, and it's great to have you back. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me, David?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Can you hear me, David? Hello?
Andrew, I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, great. Sorry, I've had huge internet problems all of a sudden. David, I think that's a very important point, because going through some of these questions, I mean, there are just thousands of questions, some of them relevant, some of them totally not relevant. And I think once that frequently asked questions section comes open, I think a lot of these questions could be put in there, and obviously the most frequently asked ones could be answered. David, very shortly, I think I've been running through these questions, and there are 2 or 3 quite pertinent ones that I think if you could give a short, sharp answer to, would help with 1 or 2 things. Can I ask you 1 or 2 of these questions that you can answer briefly?
Well, all right. We are at this point. I've been answering all the questions that have been brought up to me so far, but we're running almost half an hour over on the webinar, so I'll let you bring those up quickly. I hope they are questions that I will be able to answer quickly instead of questions that require a longer answer. But again, that FAQ system is specifically designed to handle unlimited numbers of questions and answers, unlimited categories, subcategories, and search and all of that. So it allows us to we're working very hard to be the most transparent company in the industry. But as I say, even though I think we've achieved that in many ways, we're still a baby. And it's just going to get better and better. And this FAQ system is designed specifically for that as well. Go ahead, Andrew.
I think these are literally one sentence answers if you can keep them simple. Number one, how long are my funds fixed for?
Well, people can start to withdraw at any time. So I guess that's the answer, is that it depends on the repurchase ratio, which goes between 35 to 100%. And so if it's set lower, then they're seeing their funds accumulating almost in real time, every 10 seconds. By the way, for the sake of our servers, please don't spend 5 hours in front of a computer a day just clicking on the reload button. I know it's incredibly fun, but we don't want you to have wear out your fingers, or we have super fast server clusters in different parts of the world, but please just give us a little bit of a break there. We know it's incredibly exciting. But yeah, that's the answer to the first question, is that if it's set closer to 35%, people have, since we brought withdrawals online, people have done those. They understand that everything is working. The withdrawals are sent from our side in real time as soon as they're requested. It's not a manual process where someone needs to look over it on our side and decide if we want to let a withdrawal go out or not, and maybe it happens in 24, 48 hours. No, it's an automatic system with our side, which means, well, actually the FAQ describes exactly what that means. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, but I think what the first thing actually meant is if they buy a $500 contract or 1,000 or 2,000 or 2.5 or 5,000, how long does it have to stay there for? That's what they meant. So a lot of people see, and the reason I ask this question, a lot of people think it's still an investment, and what I'm trying to get you to answer is that they've actually bought physical product with it. They've bought hardware. So if I buy a $500 contract, how long does it stay there for?
When we're asking how long does it have to stay there for, that's strange. Each contract is lasting for 3 years, which is more than 1,000 days of time. And it's important to understand that every time let me see it on the other parts. Yes, people can actually, if they wanted to, they could get the physical mining hardware shipped to them as well. What we're also going to do is create, in fact, we're working on this right now, a comparison chart between ourselves and some other companies in the industry. And the bottom line is that we're not only the safest, but the most generous in all these different ways, and we'll be showing that in the comparison chart as well. But in that way, that's another example. Please go on, Andrew.
All right. I'm just going to actually make it 2 more questions, not 3 more. Can I resell my contract or gigahash?
We're going to come out with a public company policy on that, but I guess what they're asking is if they can sell the mining contract and the gigahash that they've purchased to someone else. And the short answer is that with company approval, yes. And this only slightly longer answer is that in regards to company approval, as long as both parties, the purchasing party and the selling party, both want the transaction to take place, then the answer is that yes, the company will allow that to happen. So the shortest answer is yes. But for the sake of security, we're not going to have a situation where something is sold to someone else and then it turns out that the original owner wasn't in full agreement or something like this. We're just very careful with any sort of how do I put this? Our servers are protected against hacking and scams, and so is all parts of our company. And we're just making very sure that everyone is safe, which also reminds me to say again that, yes, we're adding two-factor authentication as part of the security mechanisms there in the future. Back to you, Andrew.
Last question, David, and I know we have been discussing this behind the scenes, but just so everyone here has got clarity on it, the last question that I have is, this person has asked, let me just read it here so I get it properly. If you just want to mine, is it $30 per month payable? So I know we don't have a direct answer for that yet, and a complete answer, but what would you say to that so far?
Well, I'd say that the company is coming out with a official company policy on that, and there are special things that we're doing for people that we will be doing for people in the future, but I can't answer that until the company has come out with the official policy, which will be coming out soon. But let's just say that, as usual, the number one thing that the company is committed to doing is having the raving fans, and so that's the amount that I can answer. I think you knew that you were asking me a question that I couldn't fully answer until the company comes out with an official policy on that. So that really does put me on the spot. But
I knew that, David, and that's why I preempted it by saying I know we don't have a final answer on that, but I just wanted, we're getting that question a lot. So I think it's just good for people to hear that we are aware of it, and that we are going to have something for them.
Well, I would say that it's certainly something that people don't need to worry about, because we're interested. As I said, the people who have started, we're a baby now with the Dragon Mine is a baby, but the people who have started with us first, and the people who are joining today and tomorrow and so on, there's reasons that they are going to continue to be happier and happier and get more and more than even the people who might join us at a later time, which we know that this is just, we're having the snowball effect. And there were people who looked at things and were asking, oh my gosh, are they actually opening it up on the 1st of March, or is there going to be a delay, or are we, and everything was brilliant there. It was exactly as we had promised, and then the extra bonus gigahash came into place, and the withdrawals and this and that. Everything is there. Everything is working already. The safest and most generous mine. We're going to have the raving fans, and those who are joining now are going to continue to get more and more. And by the way, even though let me address this question that hasn't been asked, but even though the global pool is no longer available to people, and obviously we'll be taking the graphic off the website, but even though it's no longer available, if you compare the gigahash that we're giving, I want people to understand the sort of luxury that they're receiving. And some companies don't mention the gigahash or the price per gigahash at all. If you look at a very good company here, which is Genesis Mining, you'll see you're getting 26 cents per gigahash. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. 26 cents per gigahash. For this amount. It goes up to $500. You get, now look at the jump in the amount from $26 to basically $500. Near as makes no difference. You're going from 26 to 25. When that goes up to almost to more than 2,000, I'll just put it that way, almost $2,500, you're getting 24 cents. So this is the jump in the amount that it takes to get the better value from 25 cents to 24 cents per gigahash. And it's a very real company. It's a very good company. Absolutely nothing wrong with those prices. Nothing wrong at all. Okay? Now on ours, when we're starting at $500, we're not at 24. If we were at 24, if we were at 25, we'd be matching this. If we were at 24 for $500, we'd be giving as much value for 500 as they are for 2400. Right here, this is not 23 cents, it's 22.7. That's less than 23 cents. As we get down here, we're less than 21 cents per gigahash. That's unheard of. There are people who put in, who make a purchase on a real mine for $500,000 and can't reach that level, or barely reaching that level. And if they are, let's say that they are, for sake of argument, let's say that they are they receiving what we're seeing over here? Yeah, with the extra bonus gigahash, are they receiving all this extra? No, not a chance. So where are we now that the global pool founders contest has ended? And the answer is we're the safest and most generous real mine in the world. We know that no one can beat the value that we are giving, and no one can stand the test of time like we can, because, as I say, if price stays the same, we win. If price goes up, we win. And if price goes down, it's an absolute catastrophe for a lot of people. But for us, for our miners, they win more than ever before. And that really can't possibly be stated enough. When it's panic time for others, it means that we're actually able to not only stand the test of time, but to give more coin than ever before. And then, so if it goes down, price goes down, people are getting more coin, price goes back up, all that coin that they mined is worth that much more. We win no matter what happens. Either way, we win. And when I say we win, I mean you win. So having said that, I'd like to go back to Ken, Andrew, Tony to close up the call. Thank you.
David, and I think that obviously goes for the same for obviously when the mining capacity halves in July, we still win because a lot of the competition will fall away, but we win. Am I correct?
Very, very much so.
So people mustn't worry about if you're with Dragon Mine, the halving in July it only affects us positively. Is that a fair statement to make?
It's a fair statement because a lot of other mines have to turn off at that point, although I've got to say there are certain mines that have turned off either because people in China were arrested, or they just can't afford to mine because of the energy costings last week. This has already been happening. It's not just something that could happen in the future. And with our margins, we're definitely set to stand the test of time. And also, the halving is something that hasn't happened since, I believe, 2012. What's going to happen is that there's some, let's just say that although it's very, very difficult for certain miners, not only will we stand the test of time, but there's some extremely positive things that can happen with Bitcoin at that time. Some extremely positive things. So this is not a point of dread. If it was, then why would it be done at all? It basically shakes out the lesser companies, and I don't mean to imply any company as a lesser company. I'm simply saying, realistically, with the energy costings and all the rest of what they're set up, the bottom line is that there's going to be far fewer miners out there, and those who have stood the test of time are set to become the giants. And that's what we're focused on, is being one of the giants in the industry, not just in mining, but in a lot of ways. And the other thing about the monthly fee, which, we're doing something special for people, but the bottom line is that there's a huge amount of value that most people don't even realize yet of what the company and Andrew and Tony and others, the people in the inner circle, some of what we're coming out with, and you've been sworn to secrecy. But this is not just about mining. This is about the Bitcoin industry as a whole. It's about adding massive value to it, and it's about other ways that people can further multiply their Bitcoin and multiply many positive things because of the value that we're bringing, and that's all part of what we're doing as a company. So I hope that answers your questions.
Thank you, David. I think with that, we hand over to Tony and then to Ken. Tony, is there anything you'd like to say as we end off the webinar?
Yeah, firstly, the last statement towards David, especially David and Ken. Those of you that have been walking the path with us now for quite a few years, and especially this past 8 months since we started Bitcoin mining, and now we are officially with the safest platform in the world, will understand that David has over-delivered in what he has given us here. So, and if you're not aware of that, you will find out very soon that you're sitting here with a platform that is over-delivered that what it's supposed to be doing. So, David, on that point, I just want to say once again, thank you. And then secondly, and the last thing from my side is, guys, you need to be very careful who you take advice from. I've seen some comments that people are giving, advice from, and they are not financial planners, they are not tax advisors. We need to walk in integrity with our team, guys. We are not financial planners, we are not tax advisors, we are just internet entrepreneurs. And on the internet entrepreneur side, and as a businessman, I can only share with you the results that I've got currently. So be very careful when you speak to your team and you handle your team. You are not a financial planner. You cannot give financial advice. You cannot give tax advice. You can't do anything else than that. Leave that for the professional people in our team. So, you can only share with people that what you know and that what you have. So be results orientated. So David, from my side, Andrew, thank you so much for hosting this webinar tonight. I've definitely got some value, and I'm sure the people that have listened to this hangout will get a lot of value. And I will definitely be listening 2 or 3 times over to this recording. And if I was you, I would be doing the same. So thank you very much from my side. Over to you, Ken.
Thanks so much for your input as well, Tony. It's invaluable. And if I may just share our conversation that we had a couple of days ago, Tony, which meant so much coming from you. I remember I was standing and I was talking to you, and I said, Tony, frankly, you are a way bigger expert on Bitcoins than I am. I'm still learning this, thanks to you. But when I spoke to you, the day or 2 days after the mine had gone live, and I said to you, Tony, what do you think? And your words to me were, Andrew, I just think that we've completely taken David and what he's achieved for granted, because what he's delivered on here would take other companies years to accomplish, and he's done it in the space of 2 months, really. And just listening to you tonight, Tony, I think it's been emphasized what David and his team have done, and his team of technical his technical team. Obviously, there's Ken as well as head of the company, but from a technology point of view, what David's done here, by your own admission, Tony, is just, people must be very careful for taking what they see here tonight and on the Skill Dragon back offices and on the mining dashboard for granted. This is something huge, and as David said, this is just still a baby. This is just still a baby. So I'm also going to add my 2 cents in here. People, I have been with this company for 4.5 years. When David says it's still a baby, it's still a baby. when he is a visionary, and let me assure you that he has got bigger plans than what you see in front of you right now. So if Tony was already saying that what we already have, we are taking David for granted, and David is saying this is still a baby, you better hang on for the ride of your life. Just hang on to these coattails, because we're only just getting started with this thing. When Tony and David started talking about the safest mine in the world, Tony inadvertently had planted in David's mind yet another platform that he could accomplish his mission in life, and he won't stop. So hang on to David's coattails. I think we end off tonight with a final word from our Chief Executive Officer, Ken Bruff. Ken, thank you so much for what you're doing. Oh, before I do that, people, Tony's absolutely right. Please, we are not investors. We are not financial advisors. Don't give tax advice. Don't give advice on, don't use the word investment. Don't use ROI. Please do not use ROI. Don't say people are investing. That sort of language we must rip out of our vocabulary right now. But Ken, over to you. Thank you so much for everything that you've been doing, steering the ship as well. Any last thoughts, Ken?
Well, I just want to make sure that that David and Tony and you, Andrew, know how grateful I am for the efforts that you've put out. I think we have been nourished. I think we've gotten great information today, and I just want to extend my gratitude for the expertise and for what you're bringing to this, and the fact that we were able to put together a group like this and answer at least a good share of the questions out there. So thank you very much for hosting, Andrew. Thank you, David, for all the great information. Tony, I want to thank you for the great information and for the cautionary statements, which will save our company in the future. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much, Ken, for all you're doing. Thank you, David, for all you're doing. Tony, and to the team, guys, we are at the start of launching something magnificent here. And, my advice is take action. Take action, people, because this really can change your and other people's lives. I think we end the webinar off right now. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. See you guys on the next one. Cheers.
You're
Bye-bye.
very blessed.
Bye-bye.